And gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. So Mayweather was on ESPN talking about Conor McGregor, his legacy as a boxer, Andre Ward, and also Virgil Hunter, amongst many other things, because he was promoting the fight between James DeGale and Badou Jack, which is coming up this weekend, and also Gervonta Davis versus I forgot the gentleman's name. Championship fight, 2 championship fights. Now, some of the things that Mayweather says, I absolutely agree with. I told you guys I believe that he is what he claims to be and what he is. And other things I just totally didn't agree with. But as usual, they are controversial things. So let's first talk about the controversial stuff. Mayweather on ESPN in the back room, recorded by Fight Hype, Ben of Fight Hype, he said that he thinks that Andre Ward did not win the fight against Sergey Kovalev. I would like to hear his reasoning for that, because he says he knows boxing and he believes that Andre Ward didn't win that fight. He also says that he believes that Virgil Hunter is not a good trainer. Now, I'm going to give you my reasons why I disagree with him on both counts. The first one, he says Virgil Hunter is not a good trainer because Virgil Hunter has never boxed before in his life. First of all, Mayweather doesn't know Virgil Hunter has never boxed in his life, okay? Second of all, Virgil Hunter's track record with Andre Ward says it all. That in itself shows that Andre Ward is a good boxer. Virgil Hunter was the guy that trained him since he was a kid. So that alone should give evidence that Virgil Hunter is a good trainer, even if he didn't train anyone else and was successful with them. Virgil Hunter is currently training Andre Berto, and Andre Berto is winning, and Andre Berto is doing very well, and Andre Berto's health is improving as well. Virgil Hunter is training Amir Khan, even though that's more recent. Berto is a lot longer in terms of what Berto can do. But in terms of Amir Khan is trained by Virgil Hunter. And, of course, Amir Khan was knocked out by Canelo Alvarez, but for the most part, Khan was ahead on the scorecards when the fight was stopped. So to say that Virgil Hunter is not a good trainer, I mean, if you're saying he's not a good trainer, it's a difference between saying he's not the best trainer in the world and saying he's not a good trainer. I mean, Virgil Hunter's track record from Angulo to Berto, Ward, and so many other names shows that Virgil Hunter is a good trainer. It's not. I just totally disagree with Floyd saying something like that. And the fact that Virgil Hunter also trained Andre Ward, who had just come off of a great win against Sergey Kovalev, the bad man, moved up in weight to face this guy. You can't say that about Virgil. I just don't think so. I would like to hear his grounds why he says Virgil Hunter is not a good trainer, besides the fact that he's saying that Virgil Hunter, as far as he knows, has never boxed before. And I don't believe that, because Virgil Hunter was actually apprenticed as a trainer under some very great trainers. And second of all, Virgil Hunter has been in martial arts. He knows combat. He was a war vet, etc. So I don't think that it's like saying Venus and Serena Williams' father, he wasn't a tennis player, so he wasn't a good trainer for Venus and Serena. No, he was a good trainer. He got experience. He gathered experience. He put them through the best trainers ever. So to say that Virgil Hunter is not a good trainer, to me, in my opinion, is controversial. And he has to present arguments to support his statement. I presented mine easily, okay? And that's why I think he's wrong. Now, as to Mayweather insisting that Kovalev beat Ward, or that Ward didn't beat Kovalev, it was a close fight, so he's entitled to his opinion on that. But I would love it for him to explain to me through the rounds who was winning the fight and how the fight became, whose fight was these combatants fighting. For instance, the first 2 rounds, I absolutely agree Kovalev won those. But from the end of round 3 onwards, whose fight was happening? Was it Kovalev's fight or Ward's fight? So that's the first case. The second case is that Kovalev didn't finish strong. Ward was taking the fight to Kovalev. Round 9, Ward knocked Kovalev into the ropes. Round 11 and 12, I argue, were Ward rounds. because it's Ward. Even though it was a to and froing, Kovalev was missing a lot, and Ward was the guy landing the punches, and Ward was doing what he wanted to do, which fight on the inside, and Kovalev was not able to stop him. So I don't understand how Mayweather could say that Ward won this fight, didn't win this fight. You know, it wasn't possible that he won at all. I can't agree with that argument at all, and I totally disagree with him on that. Now, when it comes to his legacy, in two actually segments of ESPN, First Take and then another segment with Carrie Williams, I think was her name, he was interviewed by two different people, Max Kellerman and the guy with the afro. I forgot his name right now. It's crazy forgetting these names. But he was interviewed with them. Now, Max Kellerman tried to insinuate that his legacy had to do with his money and that he broke records in terms of gait and stuff like that. And that's why he calls himself TBE, more than him fighting the best possible opponent at the best possible time and also being the greatest of all time. Because he thinks that Floyd is, when he says that, he's talking about being the greatest of all time, not the best ever. So I was glad that Floyd actually addressed him, even though Floyd didn't really address those specific things per se. But in his interview with Carrie Williams, I believe is her name, one of the hosts, was two hosts here, he explained, again, the best ever. Because they were talking about, they had their list of the greatest of all time, 5 greatest of all time lists, in which Floyd was somewhere in there. I don't think Floyd should be that high in the greatest of all time listing, which is crazy. But when you talk about the best ever, and Floyd basically clarified it without saying the name, the best ever. He said, when you're talking about the science, the sweet science of boxing, hit and not get hit, he's the best at that. And he's right. I mean, all the facts, all the figures support that. And on top of that, Muhammad Ali, all of these fighters that you talk about, Muhammad Ali, even Sugar Ray Robinson, even Sugar Ray Leonard, these guys brought very competitive, entertaining fights. But Mayweather, when he fought the best of his day, the fights weren't to and fro's. They weren't tit for tat. They weren't fights in which Mayweather had to struggle a life and death battle to win. He made his opponents look ordinary. Extraordinary opponents he made look ordinary. And that's something that the other greats could not do. Okay? They couldn't do it. Sugar Ray Robinson is probably the closest, well, he's one of them who was able to do it kind of. But for the most part, Mayweather actually did that, showing that he was just a whole other level ahead of all his competition. And again, if you're talking about the best ever, you're talking about the science, the sweet science of boxing. You're talking about boxing. So if you're talking about the sweet science, he's the best at it so far. And that's what the best ever is all about. And he made sure to make that case again when he was talking to those guys at First Take. Max Kellerman keeps on talking about his out-of-the-ring stuff, then that's why he's the best ever all around. I disagree. I think for Mayweather, his case, his argument has always been that when it comes to the sweet science, and I think, why is it I can't remember this dude's name, but it doesn't matter. The guy who speaks for him all the time, which, for reasons unknown to me, this African-American gentleman, who I should know his name, you guys give me his name, please, because I just completely blanked out on his name. I just watched the interview. He keeps on making the case Floyd is talking about the sweet science. He's talking about hit and not get hit. He's talking about the science of boxing. When it comes to the science of boxing, Floyd is the best at it. And Floyd has been very clear on that. And I keep on saying it over and over because Floyd, again, validates what I'm saying. I absolutely 100% agree. Floyd Mayweather is the best ever when we're talking about boxing. I'm not talking about the gates. I'm not talking about the money he made. I'm not talking about none of that. And those are records too. But you got to understand. And I'm gonna pull some records off the archives. Some serious records. Floyd drew with Joe Louis in terms of the number of championship fights won. Okay? Floyd and Joe Louis have the highest number of championship fights won. And when you look at Floyd Mayweather's opposition and you look at Joe Louis's opposition, Mayweather's opposition is tougher than Joe Louis's opposition. Joe Louis never came face to face with another titan of his day. Well, I guess, yeah, he did come against them. But when he did come against them, one or two of them he won, but one of them he lost. He lost to Ezra Charles. Ezra Charles was the title. Of course, Joe was at the end of his career, but nonetheless, he lost to Ezra Charles. He lost to Rocky Marciano. He beat Jersey Joe Walker barely the first time, and the second time he beat him comprehensively, right? But that's all the titans of his day. You could talk about in 1930s he faced the guy that beat him, and then he got his revenge on him. You could talk about him being a titan, but that's about it. When you talk Mayweather, you're talking Pacquiao, Cotto, Mosley, De La Hoya. You're talking, these are all titans. Corrales, Castillo. You see how many names I'm talking about? You're talking about Hernandez. That was his first championship fight, right? You're talking about Judah. You're talking about a number. Alvarez, okay? These are titans. These guys were big names in their time. We're not talking about Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz rose to prominence, but he wasn't a titan. When you talk about Marcos Maidana, you can't say that. He rose to prominence. He was a world champion and all that, but he wasn't a titan. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about titans, like Diego Corrales was a titan. He was a legend of his time. He was the guy mowing down everybody. He was world champion. When you look at Corrales after Floyd beat him, Corrales was still just destroying everybody at lightweight, okay? When you talk about Castillo was a titan, okay? You talk about Gennaro Hernandez, he was a legend. He was a titan, okay? Beat Zuma Nelson, he beat everybody at super featherweight except for Floyd. So when you're talking about these guys, Oscar De La Hoya, we don't even need to, we don't need to do nothing. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya is Oscar De La Hoya. So when you look at who Floyd actually fought as the trainer, maybe former trainer of Sergey Kovalev would say, he got his 49-0 the hard way. He really did. He got it the hard way. He fought the very best to get 49-0. Now, a lot of people, they're bitter that he's 49-0. They wanted to see him get beat, so they try to put, a next fighter and a next fighter and a next fighter against him. I don't think he's coming back to boxing. I just honestly don't think so. But at the end of the day, this dude, you can't say nothing about this guy, because this guy definitely, when he says he's the best ever, you got to believe him, because the guys that he went through to actually beat those guys to get the W, you got to be out of your mind not to realize how legit Floyd Mayweather is and what these guys did after they were beaten. Most of them, except for Ricky Hatton, most of them after they were beaten went on to do great things, showing you that they were great fighters, but just that Mayweather, or not necessarily great fighters, but Hall of Famers or extraordinary fighters for their time, and Floyd made them look a certain way. And that's just the way Floyd Mayweather is. That's why I say he's the best ever. So I agree with that. All right. On that note, you guys have a great one. Have a good day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.